Welcome back, one and all. Welcome to this opening networking lunch of the Toronto Global Forum. It is generously presented by DBRS Morningstar. I know that many of you are busy making new friends and renewing acquaintances, but I will ask that you please take your seats as we get things underway here. We are joined by many dignitaries and business and political leaders here at the forum, and a list of the guests who are seated at our VIP tables will be visible on the screens shortly. But let us offer warm greetings to these distinguished guests as they make their way to their tables here in this room today. So welcome to them. We have indeed shared a busy morning here together at the Toronto Global Forum. No matter what session you've been in or what part of this this hotel you've been in on this floor, it has indeed been hopping. So to offer greetings, we're going to get things going right in as you dive into some of your food. To offer greetings and to introduce our special luncheon guest, please welcome Sherry Robertson, who is the Senior Vice President, Global Business Development with DBRS Morningstar. Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my great pleasure to welcome you today to today's executive luncheon as part of this year's Toronto Global Forum, and to expand appreciation to the organizers for the International Forum of the Americas, the IEFA, for bringing together business leaders, policymakers, and innovators from around the world. This year marks a decade of partnership between DBRS Morningstar and the IEFA, a collaboration that reflects our shared commitment to advancing dialogue, transparency, and trust in the global financial markets. Over these 10 years, we've witnessed tremendous change that has tested even the most seasoned and sophisticated market participants. Yet through it all, one thing remains consistent is our collective pursuit of integrity, credibility, and resilience. At DBRS Morningstar, our mission is to help investors and institutions navigate uncertainty with confidence. And in an investment landscape marked by so much volatility and rapid transformation, the role of a trusted credit rating agency is more vital than ever. By providing independent, forward-looking insights, we help ensure capital continues to flow where it is needed the most, to businesses that innovate, communities that grow, and economies that adapt. Later at today's luncheon, we are honored to welcome His Excellency Abdullah Al-Dubahi, Assistant Manager of Investment for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. He'll share insights on the Kingdom's investment vision and the growing opportunities for collaboration across regions. We're delighted he could join us today. Thank you. And thank you. Well deserved. And now it is my great privilege to introduce to you a leader whose work embodies the very principles of stability and leadership that this forum represents. As Minister of Finance for the province of Ontario, the Honourable Peter Bethlenfalvy has played a pivotal role in strengthening Ontario's fiscal foundation, supporting sustainable growth, and ensuring the province remains a hub of investment, innovation, and opportunity. His stewardship has been instrumental in maintaining both the economic and financial resilience of Ontario despite significant global uncertainty. Please join me in welcoming Peter. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations on another great conference here. I'm very proud and honored to be with you today. I'm going to, for those of you who were at the Empire Club yesterday, I don't know if anyone was there, 1,300 people. The Premier talked about his experience at Home Depot. I'm not going to talk about my experience at Home Depot, but rest assured that we're doing everything we can to keep the bad actors off the streets and keep Ontario safe. So I am going to maybe do something a little different, at least for me, as I've got a clicker in my hand, and if I can figure out how to work it, yes, I'm a minister and I'm not too adept at this stuff. I'm going to go through a couple of fiscal slides because I know the room is full of fiscal conservatives. Although I was surrounded by a bunch of liberals earlier, I was I had to ask Brian Tobin, should I call for security? Because there was a lot of liberals there. But he said, no, you're okay. You got a little red in you. I said, I don't know about that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the fiscal situation, because I think, as we're navigating the economic challenges in the world, it's important to be fiscally responsible. And then I'll talk a little bit about how we're navigating Ontario for the long haul, for the strategic vision that the Premier has and that we're executing. So I'm going to talk first about, where is it? It's over there. So when we went in COVID, we had a $16 billion deficit. This is a big deficit. We said we would do whatever it takes to protect the people of Ontario. Well, the next 4 years out of COVID, I don't know if you add it up, we actually had a surplus. This is the operating deficit of the province. This is what we report to the aforementioned credit rating agencies. So thank you, DBRS, and S&P and others. And we're very proud of trying to be fiscally neutral, a balanced budget, so that we can invest on things, and I'll get into that really matter on top of our programs. But the future is challenging, because we're looking at deficits again, because the economic cycle is turning south. We had a negative second quarter. We'll see how the third quarter, I think we'll skate by, but we'll see. 2 negative quarters would be a negative technical recession. But I think this is, again, why it's really important to be fiscally responsible when times are reasonably good. I will point out that with this profile, we received 2 credit rating upgrades last year. I mentioned DBRS. They gave us a credit rating upgrade. Thank you, yes. Lots of applause is good on that one. But also S&P out of the United States. So 2 world-renowned credit rating agencies. And let me ask you, which sovereign or sub-sovereign is getting credit rating upgrades these days? I'll submit not very many. Now, where have we been spending then the money if we're balancing our books? And by the way, that's with record investments in healthcare, record investments in education, but also record investments in infrastructure. We inherited what we believe, and a number of people have written on it, an infrastructure deficit. But also in the last 7 years, and many people don't appreciate this, we grew by 2 million people. And I know we have many of our American friends here today in Texas, and the great state of Texas, and Florida are also fast-growing. Ontario grew faster in population growth than those two, and we know how big their economies are and how fast they're growing. But when you have that kind of population growth, you have to have infrastructure. So we've increased our infrastructure investment, our 10-year plan, to just over $200 billion, the largest infrastructure investment in Ontario's history. And that means we're building hospitals, we're building subways, we're building highways, we're building schools, we're building everything so that we can accommodate future economic growth and take care of our growing citizenship. Now, to fund that, we've increased our debt. When we took over 7 years ago, we had $337 billion of debt. Now we have 427, so 90 billion more of debt. As you saw, the operating balances were pretty flat, but to fund infrastructure, which we do up front, if you build a subway, it's going to be around for 50 or 100 years, but you have to borrow and pay for it today. And I think these long-term assets of infrastructure that we're building, record amounts, will be here a lot longer than me, and hopefully there for generations to come. So when we borrow money, the way we think of it, we think this is debt of the good kind. You're borrowing long-term money. A third of our issuance is 30-year bonds. I grew up at a time when interest rates were 12, 13, 15%. So when you can get a 30-year bond done at 2.5%, you take it. And a third of Ontario's financing for the last decade has been in 30-year bonds to match against the long-term assets, but also to keep our borrowing costs low. We had incredibly low rates for a while. And then finally, well, you've added $90 billion of debt. Some people go, wow, your debt, you know, that's so much debt. Well, it's for infrastructure, first off, which is good assets, long-term assets, real assets. But let's look at our economy. When we took over, it was $860 billion. Now our economy is over $1.2 trillion. So our debt, which is going to finance long-term assets, is growing at a slower rate than our economy. That's exactly the way you should be doing it. And that's why DBRS and S&P upgraded us. That's why Moody's and Fitch have us on stable. All 4 rating agencies in the AA category have us on stable. It means that our borrowing costs are now the lowest of any province in Canada. And when you're financing these assets, that really matters. So I wanted to highlight that because, of course, with the challenges in front of us, we have to be prudent. And prudence, in my mind, is beyond just the finances. It's also, what is your vision for Ontario? What is your vision for Canada? And our vision is really around some core industries and core areas. First off, nuclear. Now, I've been in Europe many, many times, and many countries over in Europe have nuclear: Switzerland, Sweden, France, UK, you name it. I know that Michigan is firing up their first nuclear station that was dormant. The U.S. has, I think, about 90 nuclear reactors. I believe that the conversation around the planet will have nuclear as part of that equation. There's no path to net zero without nuclear. Ontario and Canada are leading the world in nuclear technology. We're building the first small modular reactors in North America, in fact, the world, right here in Ontario. We're refurbishing. My constituency is Pickering, Uxbridge. I have 4 nuclear reactors right beside, not far away from here, just a few kilometers away from here. And we are building brand new large-scale nuclear, some almost 15,000 megawatts. Why is this important? Energy security is important. And our great friends in the United States, we're working very closely with them to make sure that we have the security of energy supply on the continent. And Ontario will be able to be a part of that equation through clean, green, safe energy through nuclear. So that's part of our vision. Second is critical minerals. Critical minerals, as you know, goes into virtually every part of defense technology, that we use in cell phones and batteries and so forth. We have all the critical minerals here in Ontario. And again, for security of supply, we believe that this is part of the future, to be able to mine those critical minerals that exist here in Ontario, but not just to ship them, to process them right here in Ontario, in Canada, and make them available for the rest of the world, but most importantly, our great neighbor to the south, United States of America. The third is AI and technology. Now, AI is a part of our conversation, but you know what? The computing capability is found in data centers, and we have to have data centers to power what I think is the oil of the next 100 years plus. And Canada, again, is in great shape because a lot of those data centers require energy. It's an energy play. And I just highlighted how our nuclear strategy, our hydro strategy and renewables, it's not either or, it's and conventional oil and gas, we're extremely well positioned to power the economic engine of the future, which will include data centers powering AI and technology. And finally, I mentioned infrastructure. You can't have a great economy if you can't move people and goods, if you can't get people to school, get them to work, give them the tools to do their job through robotics, through broadband, through AI. And that's why, as I highlighted, the largest infrastructure spend probably in Canadian history, right here in Ontario, with the fastest population growth of anywhere in North America, right here in Ontario and in Canada. So I believe that through strong fiscal management, through an economic vision, and now a real symmetry of governments at all levels working together, federal, provincial, municipal, First Nations, that our nation building and our future in Canada and in North America and the world is very bright. I hope you have a great conference, and thank you very much for your attention.
Well, thank you very much to the minister for his presence here. We know he has an incredibly demanding schedule, but I hope he knows that we are very grateful for that very brief briefing. And trust me, I grew up in political Canada. A brief political speech is a miracle in and of itself. And so just also a bit of praise to DBRS for their excellent decision to upgrade the province of Ontario. Well done, you. And we have given you plenty of food for thought already here today, so now we're going to give you food for your bellies as well. I hope that you enjoy your meals. We're going to give you some actual time to just sit, eat, and talk, and then we'll be back. I'll be back to interrupt you when it's time to start the program again. Alors, bon appétit.